Hello there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Supercast Brothers, the show that nobody watches.
Except for us.
You don't even watch the show. What are you talking about? We're going to discuss another Smashtopia character here. We're going to try and figure out how they're going to work in Smash. But of course, who the hell are we? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know who I am. It's Zantok, otherwise known as Lister. And we've got over there the usual bucket of nonsense.
Yeah, I'm GJH54-4810. Do you like Hot Wheels?
Not particularly, but I like that one. I
Yeah,
kind of want it now.
yeah.
Why didn't we have that
Oh,
for our
what?
Waluigi episode?
I think it came out well after that because okay. And who the hell is who's that? Who's
Somebody that's
the
already regretting being here.
Pretty much. My name is
yeah
uh, my
yeah
name is Doddsy. I go by Babylonian online, but I don't really have an online presence, so we'll just go with Dodds for the episode.
Fair enough.
there we go. Well, boys, why are we even here?
Well, as you can see the title of this video, it's time for Smashtopia. And it's for Yuri Lowell. But who is Yuri Lowell? Some people don't know because when they think of the Tales franchise, the only name they know is Lloyd. And up until like a year or two ago, that was me. Because that's the
well,
only
there's
one I knew existed.
well, there's like Lloyd and like Red 13 and Velvet.
Okay,
I,
you have
I'm,
two in the right franchise.
And Winslow.
I can't confirm if there's a Winslow
He's
or
the
not in the
he's
Tales
the one
series.
that comes out of the hole, and he always has a wisecrack
I
for Cat Dog.
I think we're gonna pass on that one.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
It
all
begins.
right.
yes.
But I mean,
So
yeah,
So
you
Velvet
feel like
is a Tails character, but rather with Smash Forward, Sakura came out and be like, "Hey, look, here's a Lloyd Irving me costume for you." And when he was asked why Lloyd and not one of the other characters, his response was just, "Well, it pretty much has to be a Lloyd, doesn't it?" I was like, "Okay, I trust your word on that. That's the only one who I know. That's the one that was on the GameCube, right?" Apparently, there
that's,
were more,
that's the one that got the series popular in the States.
which is a real shame because I've been playing through it and Lloyd's a fucking idiot. I hate him. He's one of my least favorite main characters in any JRPG.
Well, the good
Holy
news
shit.
the good news
Jesus.
is Yuri not so stupid.
Hmm.
I happen to
Yuri is
really really
Batman but
like
killer.
Yes, I happen to really like Yuri. It's one of my favorite Tales characters, one of my favorite video game characters overall. Um, so for Yuri, the story more or less begins as after he's ditched the being a knight because in the world that he lives in, there's two main forces. There's the Empire that tries to throw their weight around and uses the Imperial Knights in order to put their influence all over the world, and the guilds. The guilds are people who have decided to live free of the Empire's influence and form their own separate group, as it were. Yuri, however, is more or less belongs to neither. He is just a imperial citizen that is just grown incredibly disenfranchised with the Empire, and after a incident involving the fountain in the lower quarter where he lives, goes berserk. He sets out on a journey to recover the Aqua Blastia that has been stolen, and along the way, joined up with a ragtag group of misfits and possibly save the world.
Which, in comparison to most
Excellent.
JRPGs where you're on a save the world plot, he just kind of stumbles into it. It's just like, oh, hey, I'm doing this thing to help these people. And hold on, what do you mean the world was on fire? And I had to stop it? Why? Fuck it, fine.
Yeah,
I'll do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
It's very much a
Lister
game that
has
just does not. Very much a game that just does not like just jump into hey now all these nightmarish things are happening. It has a pretty good gradual
Yeah.
build into it.
Cool.
What
Cool.
in most games would be the first 2 hours of the plot to introduce you to everything, that is the entire first arc of the game. The whole first third is, oh, wait, I'll stop this one thief. And we're chasing him across the world. Took way longer to do that than I thought the game was going to have me do.
Yeah. Would you say that the game is better for it?
Oh yeah, I'd say the game's great to have that pacing. It prevents it from
Right.
getting
Sounds
stale.
like it. Right. Right. It sounds like it's not too tropish or, as far as the plot goes, which is pretty cool. I think that I'm the only virgin here in terms of having never played it, but I did watch the video that Lister sent me with all of Yuri's various techniques and arts beforehand. So it should be a good time talking about him today. And Lister has previously described Yuri as if Batman had balls.
I did. I did. Because unlike certain other heroes and a lot of other things, it was just like, this guy's bad guy? This guy's a killer? He did bad things? Alright. I'll kill him. I don't give a fuck. I'll push him in the river and watch him drown. I don't care.
It's
I
very
fucking
much
loved it.
Did he literally push someone in a river and watch them drown?
I think he might have killed him and then pushed them in the river. I don't remember the exact series of events, but he definitely pushed somebody into a river. I don't remember who it was, but it was some like government asshole.
Well, that would be a useful tool in real life.
Pushing government assholes into rivers and watching them drown.
Yeah.
I would like to state to the FBI that I am not serious about that.
Yeah, for legal purposes, Super Cast Brothers is
A joke.
purely meant for
Because nobody
entertainment.
watches us.
It is a joke, but that's because I'm here. So
That's also accurate.
yeah.
So something else I wanted to
Nonetheless.
bring up is that the Tales franchise is why we're kind of when talking about Yuri here instead of other characters like Lloyd or even Velvet. Much like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and Persona, each game is its own cast. Sometimes it's a sequel, but usually it's just a whole new setting, whole new set of characters. In up until recently, I thought Lloyd was that one character that would get in for Smash, and I think most of the Smash fan base thinks the same way. We previously talked about Yuri a little bit when we were doing our Smash Ballot 2 predictions, and I had him on my list. It's still possible. The Lloyd Mii costume has yet to come back, so we could still get something from Tails. But I had opted for Yuri then, and we're talking about Yuri here now for a couple reasons. One, I've already made a moveset for Lloyd, and it's already on the wiki. Why do it again?
Check it out on smashtopia.wiki.com.
You can.
/wiki/Lloyd_Irving.
Didn't they change it? Actually, I don't think it's.
Oh,
yeah,
is it
no,
fandom.com
it's
now?
yeah, it's fandom now. All the wiki has got
Okay.
changed to being fandom. I don't know why.
But
But it was like we already talked about him, and from what Dodds himself has told me, Yuri is pretty much the most popular Tails character.
Oh,
He
by
has-
far.
Yeah, he more or less got shoved into the Hall of Fame because he won year after year, and they just went, he's just way too popular. We get it. Let's get some other people, some much needed. He's very much up there with a lot of the loved sort of anti-hero or just like characters who are no nonsense in the series. He's
Yeah.
Vesperia is really, really popular.
It's something I wish that the Final Fantasy subreddit would do when they do their yearly character polls. It's like, hey, VV won last year. Let's not throw him in the poll to win again. Let's have a winner's bracket where the winner from this year and all the previous years go into a bracket at the end to see if they're still the most popular. Let's stop doing that nonsense. It's not fun to see the same thing win every time. It's not.
Yeah. And to speak to kind of the prevalence of Lloyd in the Smash Brothers fan base, I think, clearly, evidently, it was from Tales of Symphonia being the breakout game for the series and being a GameCube title.
Yep.
Then over time, we're getting Vesperia on the Switch now.
Which was the first one on Switch as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we're finally getting more diversity in terms of where Smash fans are putting their noggins into play here. Which really only came to culminate over the past year or two, pretty much ever since Vesperia was released on Switch.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and now the Smash fan base is kind of sinking their teeth into what the Tales of fan base kind of knew all along, which is Lloyd is kind of like Lloyd is to Tales as Roy is to Fire Emblem. You think he's the coolest shit until you actually
But
play
he
this game.
has
It's
the
like, oh,
fire.
yeah, that's all he has.
That's
Fire
all
is
he
not a
has.
personality trait.
He has
Fire,
that, and
yeah,
he has the slightly cooler dad than he is.
yeah, yeah. And Yuri is to Tails as Gatekeeper is to Fire Emblem. So
We're not talking about the Choose Your Legends results right now. We're not fucking
ooh,
going there.
buddy,
I will blow a gasket. Because that fucking shit. Hmm.
it's a whole other
Fuckers.
episode.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
But then there's also like those two and Velva are the only characters that I have seen be talked about in the communities that I have looked at. Those are the only three Tales characters that I've seen be discussed for Smash. I didn't,
Oh
I
yeah.
haven't looked at anything Berseria except for like briefly some fighting clips from Velva's. Like, okay, I kind of like her fighting style. I don't know shit about the game or about her, but she's also, I think at the time, that's the most recent game. There's another one coming out soon,
Yeah,
but people are
Tales of
always,
Arise is.
yeah, Tales of Arise is going to be coming out soon, and people are
Tales
already
of
not happy about it
Arise.
because the Tales franchise is like, hey,
Yeah.
we're a action RPG where people can play as, you can have four people playing at once in the battlefield. That's cool. Not in the new game.
Yeah, unfortunately, the next step I don't
Why?
understand.
Nobody
Yeah. I mean,
understands.
is there any explanation for why that is?
Uh,
The
Even if it's BS.
I think I read an article that it was something along the lines of, we want people to enjoy the drama that will be taking place, and just maybe I want to experience that
You
with
can
my
enjoy the
friends.
drama
yeah,
that's taking place while playing with friends. So
exactly. So
From what I can
I'm guessing
tell,
there's probably something that they changed about the battle system that when incorporating multiplayer it broke. I'm guessing.
mhm.
hmm
I can see that from the gameplay trailer that I saw. It definitely seems like it's more meant to be that you've got your one focus character, and then everybody else is sort of doing their own supporty thing.
Hmm.
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Which, as you
I
both
remember
know,
seeing that.
I don't like in my RPGs. I like being in charge.
God, yeah,
which is
yeah.
definitely one thing that that the previous games in the series have done pretty darn well. The support characters have more or less fallen out of favor to the point of healing spells just being utter garbage in newer games and now.
hmm Well, nonetheless, I guess we'll see how that is when it finally releases. Um, yeah. Is there anything more to speak to the characters of Tales or
Mostly just I feel like a large chunk of what actually brings like a lot of these excitement for the gameplay of Tales is
Mhm.
the combat system. Ever since
Oh,
Symphonia, they started branching into making it essentially a fighting game within an RPG, and just, you've got so many
yeah.
combos, you've got a lot of that, and just trying to come up with that in a freaking Smash character, that's tough because
hmm
Yeah.
obviously you don't want a character who can
Oh,
just,
yeah.
because Smash is not a it's not a fighting it's not necessarily a fighting game in the sense of, hey, I've got a combo that can go
Oh,
on for
yeah.
like 50
It's
hits, and
it's not Street Fighter.
yeah, it's not Street
hmm
Fighter, it's not Killer Instinct.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
are It's very much
That's
more about spacing and more about your, yeah.
you bring up a very
Yeah.
good point because it's kind of like you have your traditional run around the map, but then you kind of move into a whole Soul Calibur like battlefield. But instead of having your basic punch, kick, grab, which you do have basic like like, you have a few different basic attacks that you can do, but it's more about using your whole special moves that you can have. You can have Quite a few of them hotkeyed to different buttons. But
Yeah.
the interesting thing is that you don't just have like, okay, here's my attack. Now at level 6, get this one. Level 23, I get this. You also can get upgrades of them by using different ones 100 times each. And it's not that they upgrade, but you get a new version. It's like, oh hey, here's one that does fire. Here's one that's a sword attack. Now have a fire sword attack,
Hmm.
which is
And
really
some of
interesting.
yeah, and some of them are just simple. Hey, I'm doing it's a range attack. Like on Lloyd's case, you've got Demon Fang, which he later gets double Demon Fang or Fierce Demon Fang, and
Yeah,
in some of those cases, it's technically better, but at the same time, with
Yeah.
the great thing about the Tales series is the the fluidity that you can go from a lower level, as they call them, arts, into a higher level, and that's where the combo system comes into play. It's just figuring out, okay, if I do this, then it's going to knock them away. So I should probably do a thrust, sonic thrust or something to catch them and get to them again. And I
Right.
Vesperia is more or less the game that got me into, hey, this game is essentially a fighting game without the need for, okay, but now I have to do like a Z pattern. It's just
yeah,
I'm not
same.
dexterous and I'm not dexterous enough for that. I
I'm awful at using combos and special moves in fighting
Yeah,
games. Awful.
yeah.
I
So
like them, but I suck.
and Tails is great in that, as you said, you can have quite a few abilities short hockeyed. It's never an extensive amount of, hey, I've got about a billion things I can do. Instead, it flows pretty smoothly into from one thing into another.
Yeah,
Right.
but then you have
Right.
me in Tales of
Yeah, from
Symphonia where I just
watching.
spam the same move, flying through the air, slashing at them over and over. It's like, hey, the boss is
There you
dead.
go.
Yay! Dodds
Well, it's
hates
good.
me
It's.
when we
I guess
play.
it's good that it's accessible in that sense for the guys that need baby mode on in the room. Um,
We're not talking about
but
Fire
yeah,
Emblem, okay?
nonetheless, yeah. What now that you mentioned it, watching the gameplay videos that I did of Vesperia leading up into this podcast, it is pretty uncanny. The fighting game style in there. It almost reminded me. I mean, between the aesthetic and the gameplay, almost of like a Power Stone esque kind of thing, but with a lot of art.
Now there's a name I haven't heard
Pretty
of in a long
neat,
time.
and yeah, hmm I love Power Stone. It's never gonna get a sequel. Um,
It has one?
but another one on the PSP. I thought that was a port though.
No, there is a Power Stone 2 that released in 2000.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was on
So they're gonna get a third
arcade,
sequel.
Dreamcast, and PSP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The PSP one. I recall that now. Yeah, one more point to speak of with the character, I guess, before we dive into the actual work of the moveset that I can think of is a big reason why Tails is also prevalent in the Smash community now, I guess, with the two major fan bases being Lloyd and Yuri, um, is because we've had Namco Bandai making Smash games since the 3DS and Wii U now.
Yep.
And I can't remember if they advised on Brawl. I think that was Monolith, wasn't it? But nonetheless, all this time has passed. We have several Capcom characters, several Konami characters, several Sega characters.
Several Square
We do not
characters.
several Square characters. Sephiroth is in the fucking game, which is mind blowing to this day.
I
But
still can't believe it.
we do not have another Namco character. We
We
just have
only have
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man. When it's like, there's
Yeah,
Tekken,
and there's Yuri, there's
there's
Lloyd, there's
Soul
Heihachi.
Calibur,
Yeah.
there's Tails.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's
Mm-hmm.
so many options.
Xenosaga.
The yeah, the lack of
Mapping.
variety in
Where's
some of
Clone
these
Noah?
characters chosen. Yeah,
That would be freaking great. Too bad it's never going to happen. But Kono is
and
also not getting a new game. It's just another. The
and,
one.
it, and it's clear that these developers have love for these characters that they've thrown in. There's a lot of little like Easter eggs or like little nods to like what the characters do in their own games. Like Banjo Kazooie, they have a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
little things within their animations that's just, hey, this is a little subtle nod to how they played in the game. This is something that characters could do, such as such as some of Banjo's like smash moves, like him actually using Kazoo as a freaking club, that's ordinarily I think any other character that has less love thrown into them would just have Banjo just socking people in the face instead of actually doing stuff he's done from the game. All
Yep.
these little nods, and unfortunately, some series are just seem to be getting just left on the curb, and it's really disappointing to see because there's a lot of great series out there, and
Yeah.
I freaking love the Tales series. I would love to play a lot more of them. I don't have any of the systems that a lot of the games are out for, unfortunately, but and it's just like the games are great, and I would love to see them get even just any character from it into Smash, and unfortunately, I feel like they're just going to go with the popular stuff or even a lot of the recent games.
It seems to be
As
what
was the
they
case, and
usually do
yeah.
with a third party character. If there's like if it's something like Bayonetta, it's like, okay, obviously you're the main character, done deal. But Persona, Final Fantasy, Castlevania, Dragon Quest, it's usually either the first character. Actually, no, for none of them it's the first character. It's either like the most recent character or like the face of the franchise. Cloud, face of Final Fantasy. Uh, Hero from Dragon Quest XI, most recent at the time. Joker from Persona, most recent at the time. It's just what they do. They don't ever go back to. I think in some cases they could go do the first character from a series. Warrior of Light would
Now
be a great new
Castlevania
Final
was the
Fantasy
first
pick.
character from the
But
series. Just
do what?
Well,
oh
Simon
sorry, I said
was the first.
yeah.
Was Simon the
Yeah.
first? 'Cause I wasn't sure if he was the first Castlevania game because I know the second one is called Simon's Quest, so I wasn't too sure on that. And then there's Richter for some reason.
Yeah, because
Don't
Dracula X was very, very popular in Japan.
sure.
But
Well, see, there you go.
but
Face
yeah,
of
the first
and Simon is also the face of the Castlevania franchise. Him and Alucard,
yeah,
both.
yeah, and more recently, Trevor's become popular for obvious reasons.
Yeah, with the
Yeah,
whole Netflix show. And Sakura also had said that he considered having Alucard be the Castlevania rep instead of the Belmonts.
yeah, and then it just came down to the vampire killer whip being too iconic to pass up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we get
Alucard
another
would be great
character.
too, though. Yeah, if we get another character, it's going to be Alucard in the next game.
It's gonna be who?
Alucard.
Oh yeah, obviously.
You're going to be like, hey, here's Shanoa, and I'll be like, yes.
Here's
Never is.
Maria Rennar
Oop.
or Grant
Hey,
Dynasty.
you know what? If we can get someone who fights with the bird, I mean Maria fits the bill.
I only know who
it's a
they are
little
from the
bird.
fighting game.
Grant Dynasty is not even still in the anime, and I guess he never will
I
be.
don't
So
know. I just know him
the
from
fighting
from the
game.
fighting game.
The
Castlevania
fighting game.
Judgment, which
I
fucking
love
sucked.
Death Note, and I love those artists, but they ruined Castlevania with that game.
Simon is in a weird costume in that game.
Simon looks like he's ready for some kind of Christian Grey kind of action, and
Don't like it.
the real Simon
Weird.
Belmont does much more interesting things with the whip, while also looking like an '80s caveman. So,
I mean, he kind of does in his original art.
yeah, Conan the Barbarian, as they say, or
a little bit.
yeah,
But
missed opportunity to make Trevor look like Dave the Barbarian. Although that was, time discrepancies.
right.
Okay.
And that's also kind of like what kind of made us want to do Yuri for this episode is because okay, so I had already made Lloyd, so that was already off the table, and it's like, okay, well, Yuri is the most popular, and then there's Velvet, who's the most recent, but you don't know any of them, and at the time I had only played the one, so I was like, well, I don't want to watch a whole nother one. Let's just do Yuri because that's easy, and I know somebody who we can pull on for it.
Yeah, we pull in Dodds, who's kind of the local expert on the subject.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then
Still, because
also, with
Sorry. Yeah. Why don't you
oh,
go
no
ahead?
worries. No worries. Oh, all I was gonna do was plug in Agumon as another possibility. That's all I was gonna say. Okay, so what were you gonna say?
Yeah, it's just is as I told Lister, like Tales is one of, if not my favorite games of all time. Like
Excellent.
of all the games I played, it's just the characters are great, the story's great,
Hmm.
like the combat is amazing, and it's just
Yeah, absolutely. And Vesperia being your favorite of the franchise.
hmm by
Excellent.
far.
I would say, yeah. It seems like most of the huge fans of the series are right there with you. Hence why Yuri had to be locked out of the fan polls.
Not something that usually happens.
No, it's not. Um, it's something that could happen, as you said with Final Fantasy or even Fire Emblem in those cases. Like,
Yeah.
but for the most part, and they really need to stop making Goomba stack win the Mario polls. Beyond that, though,
I'm not sure what that happened, but I fully believe that it happened because
they
fans
also
are
have
nuts.
a yeah. Can you believe that they have Cat Peach as one of the racers here, and not regular
Well,
Peach?
Cat Peach is a racer in Mario Kart 8, so yes,
Yeah, yeah.
I believe that.
Cat Peach, Lakitu, Mario, Waluigi, Red Yoshi, Toad, Yoshi, and Wario.
What the fuck? That's stupid. Let's talk about something that's not stupid. Hey, look!
Honey Queen in Mario
There's
Kart.
been
Okay.
enough bullshit going on. I think we've gone through enough of that. So why don't we just finally get into what we're all here for? And what people who probably
Yeah,
were just
yeah.
skipping through the first 20 odd minutes of it, just like, okay, have they started talking about it yet? Nope, no. Okay, skip another 5 minutes.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought that
hey,
no
we're
one.
here.
I
You
thought
can
no one
stop
watches
skipping
this.
forward in
Okay.
the video now. We're going to talk about Yuri finally.
Yuri Lowell,
Yes.
not like any other kind
Don't,
could be thinking.
don't. Not on this show. There's a line. There's a line. Not on this show. Fuck. Anyways,
It would be fun to edit out.
it's tempting.
It was the name of a
Shut the
cat
fuck
that
up. It's time to enter into the moveset with Yuri's entrance animation. Jonno, let's go ahead and have you start us off. How do you envision Yuri hitting the field?
Yeah. Let's get the one with the weakest moveset out of the way first. Let's go.
Well, we want the guests to go last, so that one, they see what their competition is,
How it works.
and
Yeah.
two, they see how it works.
Yeah.
Except when we get to the
Okay.
moveset
Well,
where I like to go last because I like to think that I'm better than everyone else.
arguably 70% of the time that ends up being true anyway. To be
You
fair.
said it, not me.
So for my entrance, this was inspired by a cutscene that I saw, and I can't tell you which one it was anymore.
I'm
because
sure
this
Dodds
was
can.
2 weeks ago. Okay. Or maybe it's something that he constantly does. Who knows? Well, anyway, Yuri's already on stage. Sometimes there's Smash characters who are just already present on the stage, or they just casually walk in, like Simon being one of them, if I recall correctly. So Yuri's already on the stage with kind of his hand just placed over the hilt of his sword, and then very quickly, in a quick motion, he picks up the sword in its scabbard and shoves the scabbard off of the sword with one hand behind him, and gets into his battle stance. Easy peasy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Kind of a very quick draw.
for mine, Dodds, do you remember the dungeon early on where you have to use a teleporter and it puts you in a bubble and just shoots you like a cannon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Yuri is going to be in this weird little blue transparent bubble thing. He's just going to be like float onto the stage, and he'll swing his sword and break out of the bubble.
Dodge is like, that's awesome, and like, what the fuck at the same time.
I think he's going to be a bit more of a what the fuck.
I'm also realizing that we more or less all got like his gimmick down for what he does with his sword.
Yeah.
because anytime he's about to get into a fight, and this is what mine is, he just walks in, and because there's some that where they'll walk through like a gate or something like that, or like
Yeah.
a like a like a door of light. And that's kind of what I picture him doing, or just sort of walking in from the side and also doing that with his sword. But what he's doing is because he's always carrying his scabbard with the sword in it, just sort of off to the side. And so when you see him running, he's almost carrying it like you'd carry like a bag or something. But what he does is he basically takes it, chucks the scabbard, and then grabs the sword as it's falling.
Yeah.
Sword. So pretty much just
There
that.
we
Just
go.
chuck the scabbard, grab the sword, get us in the battle stance.
All right. Well, I think we
There
have
we go. There we
an
go.
easy selection here of what it's going to be. It's not the bubble teleporter. As much as I really like it, I think it's going to be the he steps forward and just swings the scabbard away and just gets ready to cut a bitch. He's
I
not
think
going to
so.
stand up for Ganon's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's like you're going to stay
Nope.
down for once.
We're like, oh man, finally somebody who could actually put up a fight.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, that was easy enough.
Yeah. Entrance sometimes actually we have all completely different ideas sometimes. So then it's like, okay, shoot. Now what? But how about something even easier? Kirby hat. It's his hair, right? Just his hair.
Yeah. Just
I was thinking like his whole head,
the long, luxurious, flowing hair.
just
Yep.
just the locks.
Maybe a tiny little sword at his side, if anything.
Oh yeah, he can carry the scabbard as he runs along. That'd
Yes,
actually be
the
really
scabbard.
There you go.
The
There you go.
scabbard, not the whole sword, just the scabbard is there.
yeah.
Yes,
There
I
you
like
go.
that a lot.
Have that on the
Yeah.
side.
All
let's
right.
do that. If the
Now-
rest of the episode's this easy, we're gonna be done in 10 minutes.
Well, I was about to say, here's where it gets hard. It's taunt time. We're about to have 9 taunts, 9 victor puzzles, and we have to pick 3 of each.
Dodds, just so
Yay.
you're aware, we usually spend the majority of our time in these episodes on taunts and victory puzzles.
It makes no sense, but it's true. I know,
You
it's hard to
we can-
You
believe.
think the specials would be the tough part?
You think, but a lot of it is that not only do we have like 9 things we're covering here, but we will constantly have to be like, wait, hold on, what did you say for yours? Remind me what you said because I forgot what yours were.
Yeah,
It cuts
only
into it a
recently
bit.
did we begin taking some notes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I just
So-
have mine typed, not anybody else's
Yeah.
anymore. Because then it was being
Yeah,
picked up
yeah.
by the mic. I was like, nah.
Yeah, precisely.
But
okay.
let's go ahead and start off with our taunts. I'll go first here. We don't need to clarify yet which ones are up, down, and side. We'll be taking care of that once I put the character up on the wiki. So we're just gonna pick the 3, and then I'll take care of that shit. But for my first taunt, I have Yuri holding his blade over his soldier, or his soldier. He's holding it over his shoulder, and just like
Sorry.
taps it against himself a couple times. And he says, "I'm getting bored here."
There you go. Yep.
All right, Dodds, what you got for your first taunt?
First taunt, one he does in the game, puts his sword in the ground and sort of puts his leg up and just goes, don't just stand there, as he beckons for the enemy to come at him.
Nice. Jonno.
All right, I'm gonna throw this one at you first because it bears some similarities. So Yuri buries his sword into the ground, leaning forward, saying, "Don't just stand there," with a smirk.
So I have something very similar. I have Yuri will wave his hand in a come on motion and say, "Don't just stand there," because I didn't
You know what? I had it.
remember what his taunt looked like, so I just made him up. But I looked up quotes.
Here's the one differentiation that I did have that I forgot. He finger wags in mine.
Oh,
Oh boy.
calling the Sonic, huh?
You're too
Yeah.
slow.
Good old son.
All right, Dawes, what's your second taunt then?
Next one does sort of a front flip while chucking his sword in the air and catches it, just going, "This is so easy," as he catches it and and finishes his flip.
Okay.
Sounds like something Sonic would say.
Jonno.
Yuri points his sword forward with a spin, shouting, "Come on, bring it!" and then plants his sword in the ground.
So my third taunt. Yuri will pull his sword back and spin it in one hand, because, I can't do that myself, but he does it. And he'll say, "Come on, bring it."
Oh
When
man,
you
I
have a
have another
character,
similar one,
when you
but
have a
Really?
character that, like, there is clear video evidence of everything they can do, it's very, very easy. Makes our job painless.
because my third one is also very similar to that, where he spins his sword, but it ends at least ends slightly different with it ending on his shoulder, and him just going, "All right."
There you go. There you go.
All
All
right.
right.
Before
But
we go ahead and
let's.
figure out what taunts we are going to go with, though, we're going to go ahead and cover our
Oh,
victory poses as well. Because,
I had a third
sometimes
taunt.
they get mixed. Oh, you. All right. I forgot about your third taunt, because, yeah, we don't need
Yeah,
it.
it was so flush. But anyway, here's mine. So Yuri holds his sword up in one hand as a mummy appears on stage beside him and jumps in shock. He's about to hit the mummy, but the mummy grabs his arm and lays it down gently and hugs him, and they cry.
And what's your real third taunt?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I like ruined the composition by actually writing that down. It was something about twirling his sword and stuff.
We'll
Okay.
just say that he spun his sword and said, "Come on," because you wrote the same thing down twice.
There you
We'll,
go.
we'll say that you
Okay.
fucked up again.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. Let's
Okay.
just do it.
All right. Let's move on to the victory animation then, because we'll see if anything gets moved around. My first one. So Yuri was going to. He's going to drop his sword. He's going to perform a somersault. As he does so, he's going to kick his sword back up into the air with the back of his foot. And then as he finishes the move, the sword falls back into his hand, completing the whole motion. And then he says, "You picked the wrong person to fight with." Dodds?
Mm-hmm. So the camera just kind of zooms up, and he's just kind of sitting on something. And he's just got his sword on his shoulder, just goes, "Yeah, I beat you into next week," as he just laughs.
All right. You said he's
Nice,
just sitting on the ground for
nice,
that one?
nice.
Just sitting on the ground or sitting on like a log or something.
Okay. All right.
Nice, nice. Okay. And for my first victory pose, Yuri's sword is planted in the ground, and he kicks it up in the air with his legs, performing a quick forward handstand slash somersault flip before catching it. And and I had a different quote. It was that was so easy, which I think Dodds used in one of his taunts. So, but otherwise, it's the exact same as listeners.
All right. So for my second taunt or victory pose, I have Yuri's just gonna be standing there. He's got his sword on his shoulder again, and with his other hand, he's just gonna like brush the hair out of his eyes. That was, as he says, that wasn't even worth the trouble.
Nice, nice. Okay, and Dodds.
Just does a couple of sword swings, and then just turns his back to the camera and just goes, "That was too easy."
There you go.
It's
There you
all
go.
about the cockiness when you beat your enemy senseless.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jonno, what's your second victory pose?
Okay, Yuri performs an intricate swirl of his sword, kind of around his sides. I pulled this from one of his victory animations too, and then over his head before resting it on his shoulder with a smirk.
All right. My third one is going to see Yuri sitting on the ground, along with his loyal dog pal, Rapide.
Oh.
Had to throw Rapide in there. Come on now. Repeat just kind of like curled up against him, up on his side, as Yuri gives his good friend a scratch behind the ears.
Nice, nice.
Well, my third one also involved Rapide, but his was just doing a backflip with his sword. I don't think I'd having it tossed or anything. Probably just doing a backflip with it in his hand, and then his once again Rapide makes an appearance, but Rapide for Jonno, who probably doesn't know, Rapide also gets a chance to fight in the game, but has fights with a knife and just tosses it in its and then catches it back and catches the knife back in its mouth, and then as soon as they're
Yeah.
both done, and as soon as they both finish their victory at the same time, he just goes, "All right," while Rapide barks.
Nice.
All
Nice.
right.
All right. For my third and final victory pose, I also include Rapide.
No, you didn't. You're just saying that now.
Yeah. No. Yuri is they come in from the side of the stage, and Yuri is riding on top of Rapide like a bull,
Like a
and then he gets thrown off into the camera and licks it.
uh-huh.
No, just kidding. So I vaguely knew about Rapide because I know Lister really likes him. But all I had it was Yuri swirling his sword, setting it back into his scabbard, and then with the camera zooming in on him, he says, "Man, I was just getting warmed up." That's it.
Okay. And now we have that awful, awful task of figuring out which ones are we using.
Um,
I
Dodds, could
think
you remind me of your first one?
taunt or victory pose.
Victory Pass.
That's you, Dodds.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Lister.
No, he said you.
Sorry. My first one was just him sitting on like a log or something, just with his sword on his shoulder, just going, "Yeah, I beat you into next week."
I
I
kind of, I
thought that
kind
was
of imagine he's kind of like leaning towards the camera a little, looking
Yeah,
down
yeah,
at it.
yeah, exactly. As if like the
very
cameraman's the one
cool.
he beat up.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And as far as the taunts go, that's pretty easy. I don't think that we really there's
Victory
any
pose.
need to or desire to swap victory poses with taunts in this case. Um, because for the taunts, we were pretty well aligned.
Oh yeah.
Like we can
Mhm.
probably knock out two straight away, if not all three. Um, so where do you want to go with this, Lister?
I figure I'm not really seeing anything that would
Hmm.
need to be moved around either. I think we just go with the taunts first and just figure out which ones of them we're gonna go with. And I know all three of us had a "Don't just stand there" quote, or no, or something
Hmm.
like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we all had don't just stand there.
Yeah, but my
Yeah,
animation for
yeah.
it was a little bit different than the two of you had. So I think we'd probably go with what your guys' versions of that was.
Yeah, which
Yeah,
is
yours
the
was the come hither kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
and then mine was the Sonic finger wave, which I think by default means that we go with Dodds,
probably.
which is truer to the game and so on and so
Hmm.
forth. Yeah, yeah, we're all in agreement. Okay, there you go.
All right. Did anybody
Then
feel particularly strongly about the other taunts that you might want to see be chosen?
I don't know. I know that you and I, Lister, both had one where he says, "Come on, bring it,"
Right. I had mine where
and
he's kind of like
sort of.
spinning his sword in his hand a couple times, and then he ends with it pointing forwards, saying, "Come on, bring it."
Hmm. Yeah, and mine was him planting it into the ground. If I recall correctly, Dodge has one where he plants it into the ground as well.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I no, not plants it, but like tosses it and catches it.
Okay, got it. Okay. Um, shoot. Is there? I don't know. They're
I think
also
that
similar that it's hard to. What was
Yeah,
that?
I think the sword plant is a better one because it's very much true to his character of that sort of cocky, but like showing off his skills at the same time.
Okay,
All
got
right.
it, got it.
So him
All
planting
right.
the sword into the ground a little bit, probably leaning forward on it just a bit as he says, "Don't just stand there." No,
Hmm.
not just. Come on, bring it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We can do that.
All right.
Then we just need to do a third, which is I can't recall. What are we working with, you guys?
The last one I had was him tapping his sword on his shoulder a couple times, saying, "I'm getting bored here."
Got it.
Mine was more
Well,
or less just the same thing of, but instead of just tapping it, it's just spinning his sword and having it rest on his shoulder and going all
right.
right. I think
Can
I'm
you
getting
you
bored here
can
is also
yeah.
pretty it's also pretty
What
darn
if
good.
they're so similar to each other? I would propose what hi Xander. So that was my dog. So if we just is it possible that we can just fuse them together? Have the spin and then do a light tap on the shoulder, and then he could probably say either quote depending on just the moment, like you just swap quotes.
Okay, I don't
Yeah,
see any reason why he couldn't have a quick spin, tap on the shoulder, and
Yeah,
then say the quote. It
yeah,
makes sense to me.
yeah, yeah. It
yeah,
makes
yeah,
plenty
yeah,
of sense to be tapping on it while he's talking.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you think we should just go with one of the quotes, and if so, which one, or do you think that we can do both, or
I would just do one quote. There's very few taunts that have different quotes be said.
Yeah.
sure?
I
Okay,
think, and
so
I think Lister's makes more sense to the character. The all right is more or less taken from one of his victories,
all right.
anyways. So
Well, if Dodds being kind of the resident expert here, if you believe that, I guess that's what we'll go with.
All
Um,
right.
but what about the mummy?
Is was a fake victory pose suggestion, and is therefore not up for discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the one where he shoots the toilet paper?
victory animations.
Yeah,
That said, I now have an
that.
idea for if we were to conquer the squirrel.
There you
You know,
go.
when you walk out of the bathroom and you got toilet paper stuck to your foot?
Mhm.
This makes sense for Conquer for some reason. I've never played the game, but I just see it happening.
The Great Mighty Pooh. What a guy.
He's a something. Anyways, victory poses. We got another 9 that we got to cut down to 3 here. Quick recap of mine. I had the somersault when you catch the sword on the way down. You pick the wrong person to fight with. Quote. Uh, he brushes his hair out of his eyes, saying that wasn't even worth the trouble, and then sits down next to his dog pal Repeat and gives him a good old scratch behind the ears.
Nice.
Personally,
And then
the somersault and the Repeat ones are my two favorites of his. The hair one, like I always knew that one was going to be kind of a weak one, but
Right?
yeah. And then dodges. Could we get a quick recap
Yeah,
on yours
yeah.
too?
Mine was sort of looking downward at the camera as he's saying, "Yeah, beat you into next week," and that was too easy as he does some sword slashes and sets his back to the camera. Then him and Repeat both do some victory animations with him doing a backflip, and while Repeat just kind of tosses his knife in the air and catches it with its mouth.
Nice. Okay. And then mine were again. I have the somersault, exactly like Lister's because it's both from the same place. But he was just saying that was so easy instead of Lister's thing. Uh, then there was one with an intricate swirl of his sword around his sides and over his head, before resting it on his shoulder with a spark. And then there was swirling his sword over his shoulder and resting it there, looking to the camera. She says, "Man, I was just getting warmed up." So all pretty relatively even grounded options to choose from. All I'm guessing true to character in my
Yeah,
case. Yeah, yeah. So with that said, now that I wrote them all down, I do have two leans here
mm-hmm.
myself. neither of them, or well, one of them is kind of mine by default, because with Lister and I both mentioned with Somersault and it being prevalent in the game,
Hmm.
I think that would be a good one to go with.
Yeah, that one's pretty damn
And I
good.
would be, yeah, and I would be fine with moving forward with Lister's quote, because Dodds has the same thing, and as a quote as well, so we can revisit it. That's just my initial lean there. I also really like Dodds' downward look at the camera, just because from an angular standpoint, we don't have anything quite like that.
Yeah.
So that is pretty cool, and that's easily my personal favorite of all of our taunts. And I think it's clear that we should have repeat as well. It's just a question of which one, and to that I'm not the expert to speak on it.
I actually really like Lister's idea of the like him just sort of petting repeat and doesn't really need to say anything. Just I think him just like, getting down on his knees and just giving repeat like a pat on the head or something.
Yeah,
So, something a little bit different for him besides just all the sword swinging and
Yeah,
cocky taunting. It's just like taking a moment to relax, giving his pal a victorious ear scritch.
oh man, I would like to be friends with Yuri if it means an ear scritch at the end of the day.
But finally, people can say that yes, you can pet the dog in Smash Brothers.
Well, who wants to pet Duck Hunt Dog?
Nobody, because they
Little
all hate
bastard.
Duck Hunt, and it's very rude of them. He did
Hmm.
he did nothing wrong. Y'all
No,
are
he just
haters.
did the laughing thing. Yeah. Why do the haters hate Mama? All right. So, cool. So, what are we looking at here with the tally? So, we're doing repeat with the your scratch kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and we're
Repeated the ear
doing
scratch, the somersault, and then looking down on the camera.
okay.
I don't remember what the exact quote was, but I'll get it when I play back the footage.
yeah.
He
Just
says it's a long
just
drop
yeah,
from
yeah.
Azkaban.
I was just gonna say yeah. I beat you into next week.
There we
There you
go.
go. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'm surprised we didn't use one of his other iconic quotes though. Like, where's the it's Yuri time in there?
I don't think he does that.
This isn't the Xenoblade.
I'm really feeling that he does.
You're not Kelly.
No, but there's Dunban over there.
You're supposed to say a different character. You're supposed to say like repeat or Estelle or something.
Oh, yeah.
You kind of ruined it now.
Yeah, there's a Zerda over there.
Look, there's not Sephiroth over there being not a villain.
There
Oh,
you go.
right. Hold on. He's bad? Never would have guessed. That's
There's
one complaint I
Commandant
kind of have
Alexi over
about
there.
Vesperia is it's like they introduced you to this mysterious character with long white hair and a sword. Just like you're the bad guy, aren't you? The very end of the game, it's like I'm the bad guy. Yeah, I know, I know.
It's
I
like
figured it
Dagger
out.
all over again.
It's like Lysander in Pokemon X and Y all over again. It's like let me introduce to you a really cool character. He's my friend. It's like you're evil. No, I'm not. End of the game. I'm evil. It's like, yeah, your
We've been
hair
you.
kind of gave
Yeah.
it away, dude. Jesus. God, Lysander sucks.
Yeah, it's like
Worst.
taking one look at Garen.
It's like before Gen 6, I could say that Archie was the dumbest evil team leader in Pokemon because he does not understand the water cycle at all. And then we got Lysander, who's just like, I want to destroy the world, and I want people to be fashionable while I do it. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Jesus Christ. At least Lucamine has the excuse of her mind being fucked with by the Neolego. At least she has an excuse
Yeah.
for her madness.
Yeah,
Fucking-
the best Pokemon antagonist is probably Nobunaga.
Maybe I'll watch that game someday. I don't know shit
Yeah,
about it.
maybe so.
I know for some reason it exists.
So weird.
Yep. Better than Batman Samurai though. So
The worst thing about Pokemon Conquest is the fact that its existence means that we got Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE. Because they wanted to make a Shimigami say in Pokemon crossover, but they're just like, oh, they just did the Conquest game. Let's do Fire Emblem instead. It's like we were robbed.
That would have been a very,
Leagues
very
better.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
played Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Didn't enjoy it. First of all, where's the dub? It's a music singing game. You kind of need to have it to where we can understand what they're saying, considering that's half the fucking plot. And the combat, I kind of like the combat. But the difficulty was just like, dude, what the fuck? Why is everything a damaged sponge?
Nice. Nice.
Anyways,
SpongeBob. Yeah.
not that kind of sponge. Anyways, we miraculously got through our taunts and victory puzzles pretty damn easy. I think a lot of it's just because, unlike really any other character we've done, this is the first time we've had a character where everything is presented to us in 3D motion, so we know exactly what everything looks like. It gave us easy taunts and animations, quotes. We still came up with some of our own stuff, but the game very easily provided for us. The closest we've had to this before now would have been when we worked on Pokemon characters, because, I mean, okay, here's a list of all the moves that Gengar has. If you're not sure what something looks like, the Bulbapedia has images from the anime, the games, and the manga if that move is used in any of them. So it's really easy to figure out what shit looks like. Not so
Yeah.
easy to figure out what a character like Marshall from Rhythm Heaven is going to look like when he does stuff. That was a journey. Or figuring out, oh hey, Lindis, with your 2D sprite animations, how does this attack look? How do we turn Justice Sword into more? It's easier with Yuri. We're going to have a fun time because now it's actually the moves. The only problem we're going to have with the moves, we're going to be like, hey, we all just liked different ideas. We all saw the same video with all the same moves, and then we picked different ones that we liked more at each other. Now we're going to have to argue which ones are actually better. That's going to be the bitch moving forward.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
Jonno, let's have you begin with the moves this time around.
Okay. So are we doing the standards first?
Always.
Oh, yeah. Well, 46 episodes and I'm just not sure. So,
Are we 46 episodes? No, this is episode
maybe
47. We're on 47 right now.
Wow. Wow.
Coming up on 50,
So,
which, spoiler, is not planned to be special. Although I guess
No,
we
but
can
it is
spin it
gonna
as
be
being
special
special
in-
now that I look at what it is. Kind of is, I guess, in a way.
It's going to be
Anyways,
special in that we're there, yeah.
yes, it's going to
so-
be our next Smashtopia episode.
Yeah, it is. So for my standard special, and this is just me spitballing, so if I suck at this, then just let me know because all I did was watch a 15-minute video. So I chose why can't I say this word? Azure Storm.
Azure.
Yeah,
Azure.
is that how you say it?
Yes.
Azure. Yeah, it's
Okay.
Azure.
Okay.
As
Azure
somebody who's
Storm.
played the game
Isn't
and
that like
heard him
a-
say the word multiple times, but now you spam the move. Yeah. It's Azure.
So and as you know, Yuri launches a singular blue projectile from his blade.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you so I have it as if you input the special button again, when an opponent is hit by the projectile, so they're hit by it, and then you press it again, and then you launch another one that hones in on the opponent, kind of similar to Sonic's homing attack. So it's not perfect, but it has a pretty decent chance of hitting them with some lag between the summoning to deal extra damage if both hits connect. Yeah, there you go.
So just to make sure I understand here, throws out an Azure Edge projectile. If it hits the opponent, then you can hit again, and a second projectile will then go flying towards exactly where they were, or at least where they were at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
went with the more simple, just basic Azure Edge. It's the very first. It's his basic move. I don't remember if he starts with more than one art or not, but I know he has it at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's his first. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his Hadoken. It's his basic projectile move. I just have it to where Yuri will swing a sword, and the act of swinging the sword is also a damaging point. So if somebody's right in front of them, they'll be hit by the sword first, and then the blue projectile will go flying forwards. And I have it said that it flies very fast. It can travel all the way across Final Destination before hitting an opponent, or well, before disappearing. I mean,
Woof.
but I just went with
Nice.
a very basic version.
Nice.
I considered having the duo
Okay.
where you can throw out two at once. So I was just like, yeah, let's keep it as the one.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty good interpretation as well. All right, Dodds, it's in your corner.
And mine is no shocker to no one. All same thing as Lister. He's got a sort of sour spot in the blade area. If you're right next to him, he can hit you essentially twice for a little. It's got sort of like a spinning animation that he does while he's doing it. So if he hits you there, it will knock you away just enough that the projectile also hits you immediately. So nothing too fancy, just same deal, just fires it off. Yeah. I do
Nice.
have something else that I might go into. I might go into a bit later though. But I have
Okay.
I have something else tacked on.
Interesting. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm assuming we'll find out what that is when we get over to our extra skill area. But
Yeah, probably about there.
until then, Jonno, what's your side special?
Okay. Ghost Wolf.
Okay.
Yep. So Yuri will rush forward suddenly at a blinding speed, similar to Fox Illusion, but a little longer than that, towards an enemy. And then again, so it's similar to Fox Illusion or Quick Draw, where you just slash through an enemy. But the gimmick here, kind of the going into the duo art again. So if you press the special button again, Yuri will turn himself around and perform a wide slash towards the like right behind them, like assumptively towards the target that he just hit.
Okay.
So yeah, and then if you but that's if you press it while quickly turning it backwards. If you do it while pointing it forwards, he will unleash a raging blast instead.
Okay. All
So
right.
so like a rush into a raging blast.
Throwing in the combo system in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, my side special is my favorite move of the ones that I picked out.
Nice.
It's Destruction Field. I just love how this attack
Ooh.
looks. It's really fun to use. Yuri will leap forwards and he kind of like spins around himself a little bit in the air, and then he slams his sword into the ground. And as he does this, he's going to create a small AoE fire attack in the area, so it gives him some nice horizontal movement while also having a fairly decently sized attack. If an opponent is on the ground directly in the way of the sword when he slams it down, they get buried into the ground as if a pitfall was used against them. And if he uses this move in the air and hits an aerial opponent on his way down, then they get meteor spiked downwards.
Nice. I like it. And Dodds.
Mine is also gonna be a Ghost Wolf. It's
Nice.
it's pretty much just gonna be similar to Jonno's, where depending on I'm not entirely sure if I'd go with it in this route, but might just go with again just Fox Illusion, and uh, if you do the side special, then he'll slash forward. If you hold it, then he'll do a quick turnaround.
Got it. Okay.
Because
Very
there is also
similar. No.
very
Just
similar. Because I know that there's also a function with Wolf. Actually, I think for all of the star characters, I'm pretty sure all three of them you can actually cancel out of it if you mash it again. Is Wolf's claw will basically just go up about halfway and just carry into a what's this? What looks like a jump or a leap, and then the other two will just turn into a tumble, and they can do stuff
Okay.
afterwards.
Makes sense.
Nice.
So similar in that regard.
Right. Okay, cool. Same initial function, and then the changes are in secondary execution.
Hmm.
Right. All right. Up to the up specials. Up to the up. So my up special is Severing Fang, where Yuri will launch an opponent into the air, if they connect, of course, with a knee blow. So he knees upwards, and they can follow with them assumptively if they're chained into it, and then he can. Let me read what I wrote before actually warming it up. So initially the knee ability, and then he using that. Oh, right. So, and then he slashes downwards afterwards, and that's pretty much it. Although if it can connect in a way, if you hit an opponent with the hilt of the sword in this move, it can become a spike attack.
I believe in the game he's actually essentially doing ether with, like you said, a spike.
Yeah, except they get
And,
sent down diagonally.
yeah, and in the
Yeah,
game, and I believe in the game it's also like unlike any of the either the ether characters, it's a hard stop where they would normally catch the blade.
Right.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
So my up special is Severing Fang. Then there were a couple others that I liked, but Severing Fang, it looked the most interesting to me. Part of it because you had the whole he knees them up into the air, kind of carrying them up with him a little bit before he slashes them twice and just like sends them flying diagonally down. I was like, you know what? That looks really fun. Sure, let's make that be my up special. Why not? So Dodds, how's your
There you
Severing
go.
Fang?
My Severing Fang actually was in my first draft, but I ditched it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I ditched it for Tiger Blade because
Which I
Tiger
love
Blade
for Lloyd.
Tiger Blade is a super smooth move in the game. It's very hard to follow what he's doing, but it's more or less I think it's like an uppercut into him just doing a couple of sword slashes and then downward punching.
Mm,
Very
Nice.
very much Yuri's style of, you know what, the knights do a simple sword slash and then downward sword slash. I'm all about styling on my opponents, and I'm just gonna bring in his in the game. His side weapon or his secondary item is a glove,
yeah.
and so he utilizes that heavily in a lot of his art. And I figure, you know what, it might not be the most effective recovery, but Sing exists, so
Sing exists and Yoshi Egg Throw exists.
yeah.
Oh,
So why not something that's
PK
just
Thunder
that yeah,
exists.
so why not something that's, you know, it just does a little hover if he's in the air, but and then he just does a downward like slash or stomp or something.
All right. I think Tiger Blade was on my list of possibilities, but I was also trying to avoid having any similarity with my ideas and what I'd already done with Lloyd. So
Right.
anything between the two, I'm just like, no, can't. I will not. I refuse to write it down. We can go for pass. I did not want to write them.
Yeah, but Suffering Fang is just it's pretty much your typical just pure vertical
Yeah.
recovery.
You had mentioned that with his Tiger Blade, it's hard to see what he's doing. With Severing Fang, I had to slow down the YouTube video to 0.25 speed in order to be like, okay, hold on, what exactly is happening in this move? Because all I know is they're both in the air and then the enemy is on the ground. What happened between those steps?
Very quick.
All right, so we've got our. So it's interesting. So far, each one of our specials, two people have said the same thing, and the third person said a different one. We have
yeah.
yet to either all be different or all be the same. Maybe that'll change with our downs. Actually, I think I know what it's going to change. But what's your down, Jonno?
Hold on. Dodds, what were the two up specials that you had referenced being pretty bad in Smash already?
like Sing and
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, yeah,
Mention
yeah, yeah.
egg throw, like those
Yeah,
are not recovery moves.
seeing, egg throwing, like PK Thunder, you can use as a recovery, but it's definitely not your
Yeah.
typical. Which is weird because Ness can teleport in his game, so why does he not just use teleport?
Hmm.
It's odd to me. Anyways, down
Yes.
specials.
Um.
Yeah. Yeah, that's okay. Oh yeah, yeah, that's me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So imagine all of the wonder and spectacle of Lister's side special, but
I had a feeling
attached
I might
to
move it to the down special depending on how things went.
a down special. I mean, pretty much the animation is probably a little different. I have Yuri doing a quick forward flip, kind of like Zero Suit Samish ish, and then slamming his sword into the ground, causing the small AoE explosion and the grounding and the AoE and the fire and the it's all there. It's all
Is
there,
the
but it's
meteor
on the
spike
down
there?
special. Yeah,
No, it's not.
yeah. The what?
No, it wasn't.
No, I don't even know what you said.
The meteor smash.
Oh no, but it can be now because that's cool.
Yeah,
And that's
I had
pretty
a
much it.
like when I was writing this down, like I always go, okay, here's the moves I like. What different moves can all these go on? Like, because I wrote down, I was like, okay, destruction field could be a side or a down. Well, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make it be my side because I have something else for down. But I get the feeling I might have to make an argument for it to be a down instead, depending on how things go.
Hmm.
But my down special is honestly my least favorite of my moves. So I would not be disappointed if this one got dropped. It's Shining Eagle. So for this one, Yuri's just gonna turn, spin, and as he does so, he swings his blade from the ground, going up. As that happens all as he's spinning, and he swings it up as he finally faces back in the direction he started at. And if he hits an opponent, they'll be just knocked up a fair distance up into the air, away from Yuri. It's a very fast move, so it can interact, and it also is pretty good at knocking away items. It doesn't necessarily reflect thrown projectiles or anything, but it knocks them up into the air. So if somebody has thrown a gooey bomb, instead of him reflecting it back in their direction, he just sends it up into the air. Same with there's a rolling barrel, or trying to think of another large projectile that would work with something that
A
another
rolling
character could
crate.
throw. Okay, well, yes, but I meant something that a character throw. Maybe a Yoshi egg. If Yoshi throws an egg, he can kind of intercept the move and just knock it up into the air.
Nice.
And maybe it hits somebody else. Kind of like how
Hmm.
the soccer ball item is very unpredictable with when you hit it and it just goes flying somewhere, and then maybe somebody dies from it, and then they get upset because what the hell? How'd that actually happen?
Yeah, that's happened a few times. Okay. Well, I thought that was pretty nifty.
I happen to really like
Good
that art
old
in the
good old
game.
buddy. Yeah.
But for me, my down special, I originally had another one here, but because of because of what I was thinking, I ended up dropping it uh for shoot Wolf Strike,
Hmm.
which is a like not every down special needs to I feel needs to hit in any area or something, but because some of them actually have more of a unidirectional uh, attack. For Wolf Strike, does a sort of a forward facing thrust into a follow up with a punch, and can be used as a 1-2 punch that can also maybe even gives him a little like horizontal movements depending on the direction he's facing,
Yeah.
or can be turned around similar to the or can do a thrust in one direction and then similar to the Captain Falcon turn around if you hit the direction, if you hit left or right, whatever direction you're not facing, can turn around and it'll punch in that direction.
Makes sense to me. I could also
Nice.
see if like the area, like maybe the grounded version, he doesn't get horizontal momentum, but if he uses it in the air, he kind of does get carried forward a little bit with that thrust.
Right. Right.
Which, if you
Yeah,
could
that's cool.
still spin around in the air for the second hit, that could make an interesting thing where first you go to the side with a thrust, and then you spin around. Now you're going back the other way.
Mhm.
That would be crazy aerial mobility.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh.
From a down special, no less.
Yeah.
I
Interesting.
always imagined he'd be a pretty mobile character for a
Oh
for
yeah.
I mean,
Smash.
considering how the battle system works in Tales, it makes sense to me.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It's literally an RPG, but with a Soul Calibur battle system.
Mhm.
Very appealing.
And now to explain what I was thinking.
Uh,
So my thought would be similar to how Jonno had Azure Edge have a follow-up if you press the special again.
mm-hmm.
With Yuri, you don't press the same if you don't press the same one, you get a I wasn't I've kind of gone back and forth on that, but on this, but but for me it'd be if you do another special to follow it up. So you could do a Azure Edge into a side special, which goes into a arcane art because in the Tales series they've been split up into different tiers,
Mm-hmm.
and for and all mine have been base arts and then followed up with arcane arts, and so I have 4 additional arts to go for each direction. So if you do so the secondary so the arcane art, and I might also consider slapping this onto something else, but my
Mhm.
secondary for his base would be Shining Eagle because it'd be
Oh,
a
there
good
you
way
go.
to it'd be a good sort of like back off move
Yeah.
because like Lister said, he does sort of a backwards sweep into a explosion that hits behind him, but it can also be used in front of him. And then for side special, I'm actually surprised, actually a little surprised that nobody mentioned Dragon Swarm.
I just like Destruction Field more. It's one of my favorite attacks.
Dragon Swarm is one of the cleanest moves I've ever seen in the Tails game. It starts off with him just doing a slash into a somersault kick into another somersault slash into another somersault kick. And I like to imagine he does it like 3 or 4 times. Doesn't go very far, or is just a move you can use on the ground. Either way, so that would be that side special. Down special could be converted into Guardian Field, which stabs his sword into the ground, and a small area uh, field effect pops up underneath him and gives him a slight healing effect. Probably not too much, maybe like 5% or something like that. And finally for up, finishes it all off with Fire Havoc, a upward jump into a spinning slash that ends up with a forward slash where he chucks a fireball in front of him.
Nice.
All right. I had I had thought about the idea of if I wanted to do anything that's like actually differentiate like the different kinds of arts and do anything with that with how you can create the more powerful arts in the game. But I was just kind of like anything I was thinking of, I wasn't a fan. I was just like, I just fuck it. I'm gonna pick my favorite attacks.
And my other thought was maybe slap to like a similar thing to Arsene or some other like limit thing that he
Uh,
can
Cloud's
activate,
Limit Break as well.
limit break, or
Hmm.
even just like a meter that he builds up over the game, and then he could activate him, and
Yeah,
then they
I
turn
mean,
into
yeah.
those
he
arts.
does have the over limit meter. It doesn't really work
Which
that
That
way.
is so I will say, since it's pertinent to the discussion, the overlimit gauge is one of my other skills.
One of.
Something that is, yeah, so not an extra skill, just something that's always prevalent, similar to Joker and
Ah, a unique
Arsene or
trait.
Cloud's Limit Break. Yeah, yeah. So when he hits the meter for the over
overlook.
limit, it just for a limited period of time allows him to combo more heavily, and I guess in this case he also used the arcane arts. I was thinking about being more descriptive of this, during my research, but having not played the game, I was like, holy cow, this is a whole lot to take in.
Yeah, let me just say I never used overlimit, at least correctly. When I played Vesperia, I was just like, I just hit the button, and then I kill the enemy, and it's dead. I dragon swarm the boss, and it stops moving. That's my gameplay.
I think a
Dodds
lot of
hates
people
it.
just use overlimit to just spam one art, and you are one of those people I know.
Oh, I didn't even use the overlimit. I just spammed the fucking art anyways. I didn't know how it
There's
worked.
Dodds is a man with a heart, and his heart cries when you say such things.
Yeah.
He's played Symphonia with me. I've seen him cry.
Man.
It's like we're fighting a boss, everybody else is dying, and I'm just like, hey guys, I'm just hitting the button. I'm out of magic. Help. Now what do I
Oh
do?
man. We're gonna have to call you Double D. She was always talking about those buttons.
Okay. Well, I guess whatever the fuck that was, we'll just move on to our final smash.
I feel like we're all going to be using
Yeah.
the same thing.
Over limit? Well, maybe this is where my Dragon's form comes in. I don't know. Jonno, what's your final smash?
Okay. Hold on just okay, was this what I was thinking it was named?
Well,
Uh
probably.
I think
Were you thinking?
so.
Were you thinking Savage Wolf
Yeah.
3?
Or were you thinking Heavenly Blade Wing?
I was thinking probably because I for some reason wrote down the wrong name. Okay. So what does this sound like to you when I as I read it? Yuri dishes out a quick strike of his blade, capturing a field of opponents about twice as far as Midnight's Cape can, and then it takes you into a CGI. Anyone
So far,
caught
that
by
could
the
be
strike
either
will be
or.
taken into to a cinematic where his blade uh, gains the appearance of a tremendous feather, and he strikes down on them, as they're surrounded by a swirling tornado, standing in place. Okay, what move is that? Because I didn't write
That's
down the
Heavenly
name.
Blade Wing.
That would be Heavenly Blade
Okay,
Wing.
It's
okay,
the one.
it's Heavenly Blade.
If I remember correctly, I think that one was only added in the definitive edition, right, Dodds?
Yeah, that's a definitive.
Which is
Apparently, they
why he
actually
sounds
recorded it
so
for
different.
the. Yeah, apparently they recorded it for the base game, but unfortunately, never made it in.
Why not just release
Oh.
the recording? What the fuck? Yeah, it sounds super weird because it's a different voice actor delivering those lines. It's like, this don't sound right.
He
The
just
fuck?
doesn't have the oomph that Troy Baker brings.
Yeah.
The zest, the magic.
But, for my final smash,
Baker
I
brings the
considered
baked
Heavenly Blade
goods.
Wing. Because I do kind of think that it's more unique in design. So in that respect, I like it better than Savage Wolf Fury. But the fact that it was only in the definitive edition, I decided to just go with Savage Wolf Fury. Anyways, it's he runs forward, he does a slash, he says the sins now quote, and he does 19 fucking slashes. I counted the fucker out.
If you have an
19
extended
hits.
add-on, he does 40.
Well, I didn't. I was like, I'm not going with that. I'm just gonna go with the basic ass version. I also considered the final boss variant, where he throws down a fucking energy bomb. But I decided to just go with the basic version.
Oh,
He says
yeah,
his
where he
whole
becomes
quote during the
Goku.
whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah, and then he sends them to their death when it's all done and over.
Nice.
All right, Dawson, how's your Savage Wolf Fury? Did you go with the
Savage
special
Wolf
version?
Fury is more or less the same thing, just similar to what Jonno said, just does a slash that reaches about further than either a charge slash or just a big ol' slash that
Mm-hmm.
reaches further than a Knight's Cape. Anybody gets caught on it, and all you see is them in the center of the field as they're just getting slashed by a Yuri that is just jumping in and doing a couple quick slashes, jumping out,
Yep.
and crying out and using crying out his the arts line as he's slashed them to pieces.
My starting trigger to it was just a little bit different. Where instead of like him doing a slash in front of him, it's I can't think of which characters do it, but some of them they'll do a run forwards, and they just whoever they run into, that's who they drag into it. I just had him do it that version instead of a hit right there. But he can still bring multiple people into it if they're right in that bad spot. So.
Mhm.
Right.
All right. We got one last thing to do before we can actually figure out what all of our moves are officially going to be, even though I think a few are kind of decided already. It's extra skill time. And just as a reminder for anyone who's only tuning into this today and doesn't know what the fuck I mean by an extra skill, it's essentially it's a fifth special move, kind of like how the Inklings can recharge their ink by holding down or not down the special move and shield. So we just have it where hold shield, hold the B move. You got a fifth special move. We just call it the extra skill because well, I came up with it before the Inkling existed, and it was a placeholder name, and it just kind of stuck. It's more or less inspired by the Injustice games and how some characters just with one button they have an extra special thing. Some characters change their move set, like Nightwing can change what his weapon is from the staff to the two sticks, whose names I'm forgetting, but oh well. Batman brings out his batarangs. Doomsday gets super armor. Different things. Sometimes extra skill is a whole different move. Sometimes it's a mechanic that revolves around them. It all varies character to character. But, Jonno, what extra skill do you have for Yuri Lowell?
Okay, mine is called Call to Borneo. Yuri will get a sketch pad out from his coat and hold it towards the screen, and then there's a drawing of the outline of the island of Borneo, and he will point at it and say, if the island of Borneo continues at its current rate of deforestation, it will be severely affected by climate change through the increased risk of flood and forest fires. Do your part and sweep the forest floors. Okay, so my actual extra skill is Fatal Strike. And depending upon the input, so rather than just using the standard special button as well as the shield input, you're using both of those as well as a direction on the pad. So pressing up will unleash a certain aura, side another, down another. So up is blue. So Yuri strikes upward with his sword, almost similar to like Marth's Dolphin Slash, and that leads into a kind of, I don't know what to call it. I don't know the game mechanic. I just saw the visual, like a blue aura being surrounding the opponent, and that launches into a Furia.
Yeah, that's more or less any of those auras that you see is more or less just hey, an enemy can be finished off using this.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay. In that case, yeah, that encapsulates the opponents that he's hit, and that enables him to unleash more combo slashes essentially. The side is more of the same. Again, I'm not sure if it's arbitrary or not, but the aura is green in this case, and he just pulses quickly through opponents, more like a quick draw than not in this case, but a shorter distance, and then that leads into more combos. And then down is a red one. He kind of flips up into the air and strikes down, and anything that it connects with can combo again, and that one creates a light shockwave, because if I viewed the video correctly, he does that in the game. and that's that.
And here is where Dodds sees what happens when somebody only watches a video of a character's moves without knowing how that whole mechanic works.
I kind of expected it. I'm more or less aware that Tails is not as popular as I obviously like it to be, and so just watching the video is a little hard to grasp, like what the heck's going on.
Even when I was doing my research with Fatal Strikes, I had to be like, okay, Wiki, help me out. How does this work again? Because I don't remember.
Is that a dinosaur anymore?
No, you were talking about the island of Borneo. So,
Oh, excellent. Well, maybe you and Jeff could get together and figure out the whole forest fire thing.
Jeff could kiss my ass. He got himself way too involved in the game. But speaking of fatal strikes, it's not my extra skill, but I do have it listed under the unique traits, which we'll get to, assuming it doesn't become our extra skill.
Interesting.
It kind of works similarly to what you proposed, except instead of you choosing when to do it, it just kind of like, hey, a symbol just appeared on them. You want to press the button and get an extra attack? It's more or less what I'll get into later. But for my extra skill, I've got a move here that has already been mentioned by one of you. But it's a little bit more expansive to be its own full move, and it's Guardian Field. So for me, with Guardian Field, you're going to see twin rings of holy energy just harmlessly flying off of Yuri, initiating the attack. They don't do anything, they're just there for aesthetic. And then he's going to stab his sword into the ground, as he tends to like to do. It's going to create this whole blue circle of magical energy down on the ground, kind of to be like, hey, this is the magical field, this is the area where this attack is affecting. When this occurs, there will be some, little blue particle effects flying just a little bit off the ground, just kind of show like, hey, here's some fun healing energy. While Yuri is in this pose, he's going to be constantly healed damage every second. It's going to be a small amount, something like maybe, I don't know, 0.5% or say. Let's just call it that, for example. But that's not the only thing that's going to be happening here. He's going to be locked into this move as long as you hold down the button. So if you just want to stay there the whole time, if other opponents are leaving you alone, they're not attacking you, you got time to heal. But you're also a sitting duck, and they can just go attack you, because as you try, when you stop using the move, there's going to be a bit of a lag behind of it. Because, hey, you just healed. We're not going to let you get away with that too easily. You just cancel out of it so quickly. But on top of that, if this is a team battle and Yuri has teammates, they can stand in the Guardian Field as well and be healed to a lesser degree than what Yuri gets, but they're still going to get some healing out of it. And on top of that, if an opponent is in the field, they're taking a small amount of damage as well. So it's very helpful to Yuri and his potential allies, but if an opponent stays in the field for whatever reason and doesn't hit Yuri, they're going to be regretting it pretty hardcore. The damage is going to be more or less the same amount that Yuri is healing each second, maybe a little bit more, kind of hard to say, but nothing exists like it in Smash.
There you go. There you go.
And my extra skill, it's already been mentioned, having the over limit. It's my thought would be, unlike some other characters who have a meter that builds up, Yuri's will build up, but it can build up to multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
The longer it goes, the higher it goes, the longer when you activate it, which I would presume will be something like shield and some other button. As soon as you activate it, it caches in all of your meter, and then depending on what tier it's at, you'll get a longer amount. But my addition to that, instead of just letting him go crazy as you can in the game, it converts his arts into something else. It makes his neutral into a long range. His Azure Edge already hits a pretty good range, but it turns it into what is essentially a long tube of wind, and turns it into Divine Wolf Storm in this case, as he fires some wind energy in front of them. His side special gets converted into Divine Wolf Crush as he repeatedly slams the ground, flipping over and slamming again, causing ice spikes. Earth spikes to spike up, and any enemy that's caught in it gets a sharp vertical launch. Divine Wolf Flood becomes his down special, which, similar to what Lister has with Guardian Field, is a area that would do some minor healing that is primarily used for large knockups, but also as like as the water goes up, it comes crashing down and spikes again, and is up,
Very
turns
nice.
into a giant launching attack with that ends with a sort of angular thrust as he just slashing with fire.
What was
Very
the other
nice.
called?
Sorry, Divine Wolf Blaze.
Okay. All
Very
right.
nice.
And compared to Joker's Arcid and Cloud's Limit Break, I assume that even when it reaches its full tier 3, it's not going to automatically kick in.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like choose it, activate it when you feel it's going to be advantageous to you,
Gotcha.
and also he doesn't lose it when he is when he's knocked out or when he loses a stock.
Ooh,
Maybe
really?
he loses like one tier of it, but it doesn't go like all the way down to tier 0.
Okay.
So I like to imagine it as you gotta play a bit more of a long game when playing as him, so that way you can capitalize on the over limit.
All right.
Very nice.
With that, we've got the full move set for Yuri, or rather, our options for Yuri. And now we get to pick him out. It's going to be fairly easy, a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, considering for most of these, two of us had the same thing, and the third person was just like, hey guys, what about this? I'm assuming in most cases we'll probably go with a 2 set, but let's go ahead and go through. I figure we'll start with the easy shit, standard special. We had an Azure Storm, we had an Azure Edge, and then we had I forgot what it was called.
I just had Shining Eagle as a secondary that had it attached, but
Oh, that's right.
everybody
That's
had.
right. You had Azure regular Azure Edge as well. Jonno was the weird one.
Yes, Jonno was the one who added in Azure Storm.
Right. So what do we want to do with that then? Do we want to do Azure Edge, or do we want to have the Azure Storm where it's got that added benefit of being able to throw a second projectile that tracks?
I like the idea of having additional options, like maybe it's something where if you press it and then you hold it, then he does a storm variant, because not everybody wants to sit there and do 2, because it might not be. Sometimes you just want to do a quick one, back up, and do another quick one.
True.
So I like that added utility.
Right.
Okay. And Azure Storm is the only one that has 2. Otherwise, you're just spamming Azure Edge, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Just thinking how long if you're charging it to, well, not necessarily charging, if you're just holding on the button when you throw out a second one, how long do you have to hold it for a second one to go out, or is it just when you let go that's when the second one goes?
I would probably say I'd probably think that well, Jonno, you're the one who came up with the idea, but it wasn't your idea. Just you press it again,
Right.
or is it just
I kind of yeah, and initially when it was just kind of the 2 bursts that are similar in strength. I was thinking of just being one simple tap, but with the idea Dodds is proposing, where it's a little stronger, so maybe you have a little bit of lag leading into it. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a half step, maybe a second or less, maybe a little less. Nothing too crazy. Just give it like a second to charge up, so that way it can kind of have that optional utility instead of feeling more necessary.
Okay. So
Or so
essentially,
are my thoughts.
it's if you just tap it, it's Azure Edge. But if you hold on the button, then it becomes Azure Storm, because it's the same move. It's just he uses the second
Yeah.
blast a little bit faster. than he would
Right.
if he
Yeah.
spammed it. That's the only difference
Yeah.
between the two things. Why they're two moves, I honestly don't know. It's kind of odd to me personally, but Lloyd also has double demon fang, which is also the literal same thing. So what the fuck ever. But I mean that seems fine to me. It's essentially you just tap it once at your edge, hold it down for a little bit, and it's Azure Storm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like that. It's,
We're not experts in balancing out games, so
No, we're
I'll
not.
just go with probably just think
We
of
do
like
our best
maybe like
around here. Our best.
probably just like half a second or whatever, but you
Yeah.
just hold it down and get it.
Makes sense to me.
yeah, yeah.
All
Well,
right.
that was good.
Let's see here. Our side specials. Again, two of us had Destruction Field. And then there was Dodds, who was a little bit different. Actually, no, wait. No, I was the one that was different this time. You guys had, what was it, Ghost Wolf?
Ghost Wolf.
Ghost Wolf.
Ghost Wolf, yeah.
And then I had Destruction Field.
Right, and then I had Destruction Field as down.
Right. And I had Shining Eagle. Dodds, what was your down again?
My down was Crushing Eagle. Oh, sorry, no, not Crushing Eagle. My
Wolf
down
Strike?
was Wolf Strike.
Okay,
The one-
and there we
the
had all
one-two
three
punch.
different things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys feel about those options for both side and down? Because obviously, if Destruction Field is used for one of the two, then it can't be used for the other one. Quite clearly.
Right.
Alternatively, it could end
my-
up to be where it doesn't get used in either spot.
Perhaps, yeah. My initial thought is that while Destruction Field can be easily used as both a side special or a down special, Ghost Wolf would only really work as a side.
Right.
So if we're I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall in all the moves that we had been discussing, something like Wolf just does not show up again. So if it's a move that we're warm towards and think might be a utility of the move set, we might go with it here and then entertain Destruction Field for the down.
Mhm.
Especially, I mean, it's not that majority wins either, but I mean, it was an authenticated move by 2 out of 3 people.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I feel that I feel like the Destruction Field actually does have the. I feel like it does feel more like a typical down special because most side specials generally have more horizontal direction.
Right. Which is why
fair.
it was interesting as a side specialty, like kind of like how Sephiroth kind of switches things up with the directional output of his special moves. But but if we're avoiding that headache, I guess Ghost Wolf for the side.
Mhm.
So many times I go to use his side special thinking Octaslash. Nope, Shadow
Yeah.
Flare. It's like, god damn it.
Still the same here.
Like, I want to use it more as a side move whenever I use Octaslash most of the time. So it's weird to me go like, okay, I
Me
need to
too.
do up, and now I need to make it. Now I need to turn my thumb to go to the side. It's like, no, I don't want to do that.
I have the same problem with Parappa. Yeah.
Just to confirm that, it sounds like we're thinking Ghost Wolf on the side special and then Destruction Field on the down.
Yeah, because I don't feel
At the
super
moment, that's-
strong. Yeah, because I don't feel that strong about Wolf Strike. Like I like the idea of it, but
Yeah.
it's yet another horizontal move. And
Yeah.
what was yours, Jonno?
Mine
Or
was
when
actually
yours was
Destruction
Destruction.
Field.
Sorry, what was yours, Lister?
Lister's was
Mine was Shining
Eagle.
Eagle, which I don't have a problem ditching Shining Eagle
With,
either.
Right. Yeah,
and Dodds already includes Shining Eagle in his standard one with over limit.
yeah, with the secondary arcane art. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Up special. We had 2 Severing Things, and then we had Tiger Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as
Yeah.
I like Tiger Blade, I think Severing Fang just makes more sense. It's another Ether in a way, but at the same time, Ether is such a cool freaking move.
Yeah.
How can you not do the same thing? And plus, it's still different enough to Ether in that it's not an instant up and then down. It's a straight up and then
Right.
hard stop with a spike at the very end.
Plus,
Sure.
if we can have 20 different characters all using some kind of teleport, I think we can have a couple different aethers.
Yeah.
True enough. True enough. Dodge, you did say that Tiger Blade was more true to Yuri's character, though. So are we still feeling
Right,
that, or
but I mean,
I
even
don't
though
think that
there is,
means that they're not both true to his character. It's
oh
just
yeah,
that he adds more than just the sword in that move because he actually
right,
punches.
because almost every single character that uses Tiger Blade in the entire series uses a upward sword slash into a downward sword slash. Yuri styles things up because that's his character. He's all about style. He loves the thrill of the fight, and if he can style on enemies while he's doing it, that's what he's
yeah?
gonna do. But
Mhm.
I've been as much as I love Tiger Blade, I just think that Severing Fang is just better. And plus Tiger Blade's hard to follow because it's a very strange move to do.
Okay. All right.
All
If
right,
that's what we're feeling, I guess yeah, let's do it then.
works
Severing
for
Fang.
me. Before we move into the final smash and extra skill, now that we have our standard specials selected as Azure Edge, Ghost Wolf, Severing Fang, and Destruction Field, I wanted to go ahead and check and see with Dodds your idea of having the art chaining. Is that still viable with the moves that we have selected?
I would say not all of my unfortunately not all of mine would work.
Mm-hmm.
We could incorporate our secondary choice like a secondary choice into them, but I think something like that would be probably better tied to maybe changing my whole specials idea of the special meter and changing them into the arcane versions.
Okay. I was kind of wondering that with, especially with Destruction Field, but I didn't want to like. I wanted to see like what you were thinking on those, since that was your whole
Right,
idea.
right, because I do want to incorporate some of the more advanced arts into the game because no matter what, I want to see freaking Dragon Swarm and Smash. That would just be so cool.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, hey, nothing
Yeah.
says that we can't do another Tails moveset at some point. I don't know, who else has Dragon Swarm and what their games are, but it's like Final Fantasy. We can have multiple characters from the same series because they're all their own unique thing. Of course, then we got Sephiroth, and I was thrown for a loop. Two Final
Which
Fantasy VII
wasn't it?
characters instead of a different Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll
But
get Flynn as our second Tales for Better Yuri. He can have Dragon Swarm and Tiger Blade. Nah, fuck that. I'd
um.
rather have Rita.
Yeah. I just want to state too that at a certain point when we were considering the arcane arts and the over limits, that we were totaling like upwards of 15 potential specials per Yuri.
Yuri
And that's like
has
holy yeah, there's a lot to him. It just speaks to the character and to the game series.
Part of me was going to like, I had to write that? Okay.
Yeah, I know what was going on in your head.
That said, Jonno, here's a teaser for you at some point down the line. I have a character where I'm going to be having to write down 82 moves.
What the hell?
We'll get there in a while.
Is that on Smashtopia?
Nope, but it will be someday.
Okay. Okay.
I already hate myself for it, but I know I'm going to do it.
I'm gonna do it when I revive Elf Bowling Elf.
Oh,
84
boy.
unique moves. Hey, Santa.
All right. Final Smash time. Hey, look, I think it's Savage Wolf Fury, right?
yeah.
Sorry,
I mean,
I'm
it's
slightly-
been majority win so far, so why stop it?
I mean,
Well, I
in
mean,
fairness,
It seems the more inclusive move.
in
yeah.
fairness, aesthetically, I prefer Heavenly Bladewing. I think the idea of attacking with a gigantic fucking feather is really cool. But
Yeah, but
I
Savage Wolf
prefer-
Fury seems more iconic to the character.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's in the base version of the game, and they didn't fuck it up with a voice recording.
He's used it in other games that he's shown up in.
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
but
it's his Omni Slash,
yeah, it is his
both
slash.
in
It is,
appearance and in effect.
yeah.
Nice. Okay, it's his puff up.
One thing I did find interesting was about Heavenly Bladewing was I found out that Troy, like I think I had mentioned that Troy Baker had actually recorded something
Mhm.
for Heavenly Blade Wing. It didn't have that name. It had the name Brilliant Phoenix. Man, that would have been such a much better, or been a much better name.
Brilliant Phoenix is a great
Oh
name.
yeah.
They could have just had the
Oh yeah.
feather be a flaming feather, and there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah. Well,
I will fight tooth and nail to also see Savage Wolf Fury in.
Oh yeah. I don't think you have to fight. I think it's just a done deal.
unless we want to bring the mummy back.
Nope. Extra skill time. We had My Guardian Field, Dodds' Over Limit, and Jonno's Fatal
Fatal,
Strike,
fatal.
which
The mummy.
is not how Fatal Strike works.
Oh well. Oh well.
I,
Oh, what can you
I
do? You watch animations and then you see something happen, and within 5 seconds,
No, I'm
that
not
was
blaming
about
you.
it.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just
Yeah.
bossing you.
So if you want a quick explanation, how it works
Well,
is basically
I well, trust me, we'll get there.
okay.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
so with the extra skills, I know I really liked Guardian 2 because it's something brand new, completely different. There is no move like it in Smash, but I know that do you really want to show the I don't remember exactly what they're called, but the like his most powerful arts and
Mhm.
have the meter effect on there where they change and turn into different things during that time limit. I just have one question about your
Mhm.
over limit. How long does it last?
Scales with however many how tiered it goes. Probably I'd probably say like maybe about 10 seconds would be too long, but I'm not sure on balance. But like tier, but as you get higher, it goes for like let's just use 10 seconds as an example. Goes for 10 seconds. Goes for 20 seconds. It goes for 30 seconds. Something like that.
30 seconds is, I think we can all agree, too much.
Probably.
But I think you could probably say maybe because moves are fairly fast to pull out in Smash. It's a
Yeah.
very fast-paced game unless you're talking about Brawl. I think you could probably say though something like 6 seconds per tier, because that still
Yeah.
gives you 18 if you build it up all the way. Which I think most people probably build it up to one and then hit out with a heart attack to knock people away and kill them. But that still gives you a lot of time. You can pull off maybe one or two moves in a 6 second span, which gives you more than you can do with Cloud, less than you can do with Arsene. But I think the idea is to be somewhere in the middle with that, anyways.
It's a temporary. Hey, these are functionally different, but they are very powerful because almost is every single one that I utilize. Shining Eagle is a very big explosion. Doesn't have the range, but it hits hard. Dragon Swarm is very good for racking up the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And Guardian Field, it's very kind of supporty defensive option, but gives it but if it's anything similar to what your Guardian Films like, operates pretty much the exact same. And Pyre Havoc, a very aggressive and slightly defensive recovery move, while also just sort of being a good damage move.
Right. Now, a point of clarification, you're saying the moves Guardian Field, Pyre Havoc, and such, but I thought the overlimit was for like the Divine Wolf attacks. Or is that
I was
changing?
think I was thinking about that, but at the same time, like my whole idea of having like that'd be a lot of moves to come up with. But I think you could also go with the Storm, the Divine Wolf variants. But I think just I think the arcane arts are just more interesting. 'Cause the Divine Wolf stuff is nice, but like he has so much style, and Divine Wolf they're pretty basic when you think about it,
Okay,
right?
fair
Like
enough.
there's no other move quite as stylish as his Dragon Swarm, and like Divine Wolf Crush is just him stomping into the ground with earth spikes, whereas it's like a flurry of kicks and stuff and slashes that like I'm much more interested in watching that.
Fair enough. Just want to make sure I have the detail right whenever I eventually have to write it. Oh,
I think we'll go with the arcane version instead.
Jonno, you laugh, but you still haven't typed up Marshall yet.
Yeah, I did.
All right, so it sounds like we've got everything there settled out. We've got over limit for the extra skill. Uh, Special abilities, unique traits, things like Bowser's tough guy mechanic, or how Link can wall jump, and whatever the hell else. You know, the fact that Meta Knight
Uh,
used to be able to fly before Sakurai struck him down with divine retribution. Said, "Banhammer, nerf, get to the bottom tier." I have, we've mentioned a
uh,
few times here, I've got Fatal Strikes written down for a unique trait that Yuri can handle. Basically, I don't know the exact trigger behind their mechanic in Vesperia, so Dodds, you'll have to kick in here for it. But it's more or less kind of semi-random.
Sort of. Each art in the game has a direction that it influences. When you So let's just use Azure Edge. When you hit that, it influences the side fatal strike,
Mm-hmm.
and once that's depleted in an enemy, you can activate that particular fatal strike, and then the whole thing resets.
Okay.
So it's just another mechanic to add in to allow you to finish off a tough enemy. So instantly kills weak enemy, instantly kills standard enemies and massively damages tough enemies.
Okay. So the version I have here for Smash is that when Yuri hits an opponent with one of his special moves, there is a percentage chance that a little translucent circle with an arrow will appear superimposed on that character. The color and arrow will always be the same, but on with blue always being I looked away. Green is always going to be left to right, blue is up, red is down. So it's going to look the same way with that. And typically, if you're using like the down special to hit something, then it's probably going to be the down arrow. But it kind of depends on both what move is used and where the enemy appears afterwards. So Destruction Field, while it is the down special, it can knock opponents a little bit up into the air and away from him. So maybe the up arrow will appear if the knockback was high enough. When this when this arrow does appear over the enemy, you have a very short time window to enter the directional arrow indicated. Again, up, left, down, or right. And depending on which one appears or which one you hit, Yuri will do a different attack on that opponent, as well, of course, if he can get to them. If it appears and they're too far away, then he'll kind of like jump in that direction, but he can't just teleport all the way across Final Destination. So that kind of makes this like with Azure Edge, Azure Storm, if they're all the way across the screen, probably not really going to be able to make use of Fatal Strike for this. But what I have on here is that if it's the green circle and you're able to activate it, the Yuri will quickly dash forwards at that opponent at an insane speed to slash them from the side. And as he's doing this, he actually runs completely past them. The strike hits them as he goes past, but he ends the animation on the opposite side of them. When if it's a blue circle with an arrow, he's going to swing his sword upwards and leap into the air to quickly slash at them. And then when it's the down red arrow, he kind of a like a sonic spin. You know, he spins kind of almost like in a ball, and he just slams his sword down into them. It's not an instant kill no matter what, because Smash doesn't really do that except for some unique things. But it is fairly damaging.
great.
In do what?
Huh?
What were you saying?
Oh, I was just thinking of the Great Cave Offensive when he said that. That's all.
Yeah, that stage.
What a time.
But
So,
it has elements
but
of
in general,
randomness to how it gets activated, but it's not truly random. It's just like the more damage the opponent is, the more likely the symbol will appear over them.
right. So very much a finishing move.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it is a fatal strike.
So it still might not finish them off, but it's got insane knockback
Right.
with the effect.
Yeah. Beyond that, I didn't have anything else, like no wall jumping or clinging, no crawling. I didn't have any of that. I figured fatal strike is enough from my end.
Swim.
For me, I didn't have anything special besides obviously the over limit and the wall jump, and I gave him wall jump because I feel like he's agile enough for that. maybe no
I
cling.
think
but
wall jump is appropriate.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And what about crawling? Does he do much of that in this game?
No,
No? Okay.
he's nimble enough that he could probably do a little bit, but he's not really like there's not really a lot
Okay.
of like
To be
that.
fair,
Well,
Wario
okay.
can crawl.
Can Metroid crawl?
Yes, but no.
Nice.
You think they
Well,
should be able to with more
gets
fall
Steffi's
form,
thumbs
though.
up.
All right, Jonno, did you have any special abilities written down for Yuri? Or was it just wall jump?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're giving him wall jump, and we're also giving him fatal strikes, which are going to be a very useful mechanic for him. I feel.
I like
Be
the
a hell of a
idea.
time
We've
to,
said
to
before how
write down.
we've said before with a lot of characters, I don't like when Smash focuses too much on a gimmick and makes the character have to rely on it. But I think Fatal Strikes is a good way to give Yuri a gimmick that makes sense for him in his game, but doesn't detract from the character. Like, you don't have to do it. Steve,
Yeah.
if you're not mining, if you don't get his diamond weapon, you're fucked. If you don't keep up with all your mechanics, and you can't build, and you can't use mine carts, which massively hurts him. But this, really just a bonus. And that's what I think gimmicks should really be more like. Usually.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of I like the idea of it actually being essentially a finisher. Like,
Yeah.
because it can be very frustrating sometimes when an enemy is just too freaking good at either DI or whatever, and you just need something to finish them off.
Yep.
And I think the idea of it's a little unfortunate that it'll probably have to be tied to like a chance, like a luck factor, but I think there's enough of that in Smash that we can add a little more.
Hero.
Agreed.
Hero. And also, I'm pretty sure Fatal Strikes are unique to Vesperia. I don't think they're in the other games.
Yes, I don't think they're in any other games. I know they were introduced in Vesperia. I don't think they are in any others.
Which makes it even more reason why Yuri should have them. All
Yeah.
right.
I agree.
We've got two things left to discuss here on Yuri. They should both go fairly fast, I think. Alternate costumes. In Vesperia, the characters can equip different titles, which will give them different costumes. Most of them I personally don't care for. I do like a few, but most of them are just either I don't like how they look, or it's the costume that another character wears in a different game. It's like, I don't want to make him wear Kratos' uniform. No. Fuck that. If we want Kratos' uniform in the game, Kratos can be in the fucking game. No. So for my costumes, all I did is I decided to go with one of his alts, the True Knight costume, which is my personal favorite of them and the one I used when I played. So I gave 5 of his base alt, and then 5 of the True Knight, and then the colors are all based on the different party members of the game. You have Estelle, Carol, Raven, Flynn, and then there's only 9, so I had to throw in another character. So I was just like, hey, Duke, sure. You. Why not? I considered Wonder Chef, though. I was very tempted to do Wonder Chef. So it would have been fucking funny. Maybe he can be a spirit battle.
Ooh, nice. Does Rapide change colors as well?
No, because he's just part of his victory pose. Why would he change
Okay,
colors?
okay.
If he was part of the move set, sure, maybe. But no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What'd you guys have?
So I had sort of half were his base outfit with some slight alteration. I made sure to write down that he had at least one that was white to sort of reference Flynn, because Flynn in the game is his best friend.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, but
There
just
you go.
a slight alteration colors that sort of reference the other characters. But I also wanted him to have some slightly different outfits, so I also gave him his Dark Enforcer, which is he's got like a bandana that covers him. He's got the sort of dark cloak, who looks really freaking sick.
Mm.
Also gave him his knight outfit that I don't think it's the exact same one that you get in the game, but it's the one he would have had when he was
Is
in
it
when
the
he was actually in the
Fedrock Knight or
Knights.
the Light Knight uniform? Because I know there's two that are Knight uniforms, and one just has like the extra pauldrons and such.
Not the one that's like just the pauldrons. One it's got like blue, it's sort of like a blue breastplate that's got like stripes. And it's got like it's blue and white colorations. It's one he wore when he was in the Knights. Um, he also wears it in the Vesperia movie.
I think that's the Fedrock Knight Spirit. I think is the one you're talking about because it has
Might,
like it has the armor and the blue shirt. Because the
mhm,
other one that's similar is just called Light Fedrock uniform, which is a different shirt but no armor.
right, and I think having some color that actually shows off what the Knight's outfit was like is way better than just generic Knight uniform that every Knight in the Empire uses.
Yeah, fair enough.
And after that, I also had I gave him I don't know what kind of altered colorations I'd give those to, but I also decided to throw in because he does have a cameo outfit for Leon from Tales of Destiny, and it just fits Yuri. It's got like a dragon skull helmet, and it just looks really sick on Yuri. So yeah, just
Oh, is that Returning Swordsman?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I figure just base outfit, it looks great. Night outfit, it's gotta have something that references his time in the Knights, and then Dark Enforcer and the Leon outfit. Just not too much variety, but enough that you can at least see some difference. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
fair
just
enough.
and then alter some enough colors to give him the variety he needs.
Okay. Jonno, what about you?
What about me, dare you say, my good, dear sir, gentleman, individual?
Unfortunately,
Well,
yes.
well, some of my costumes were the same. I went the vibrant newbie route and didn't research much of any of the other characters. So what I did was just look up Yuri Lowell costumes because I figured he's a very popular video game character. He must have a bevy of costumes, especially coming from the JRPG, uh, lexicon.
Oh, he
So
does.
yeah, oh, he does. And narrowing it down was difficult. There were some that were fairly similar to one another, so you call those away. But there's still more. So for starters, I do have the Knight and the Dark Enforcer, as you both did. Um, but then I'm also throwing at a wall. There was one of him in a dress suit, like a black or a white one,
Oh yeah.
with a formal tie. So I have him in that. I guess in a white one. Just to differentiate a little further. Um, then there's also the senior school outfit. I have that one. Reliable senior, they call it, apparently.
Yeah, because for some reason they're just
Uh,
like, let's have school alts. Like, okay.
yeah. Then there was a
I
improvisionist, and I looked at that and I was like, I don't know what the hell that is, but let's do that. Uh,
I think it has like demon horns and all that.
Yeah, something along
yeah,
that line.
yeah, it does.
There's a
It
side
does.
quest that involves doing what is essentially a school play, and it is a fantastic scene.
Okay, so it's pulled from that. I also have Wandering Samurai
Okay. Mitsurugi.
for yeah, putting my best, projecting my desire for Takamaru onto Yuri. Um,
We'll get there. Someday.
yeah, and then someday, Certified Soldier I have listed as well. And then last but not least, Tank Top Lover, which is such a troll outfit to me. It's kind of entertaining.
And
So
you say you did that one. I'm
that's that.
surprised you didn't do things like Aloha Boy or Winter's Night Delivery Man, otherwise known as Santa.
Oh, I wanted
Why
that
is he
one,
in a
but
Santa outfit?
I knew there would be pushback. I knew there would be pushback. Oh, I wanted the wandering winter individual guy. What a time that was.
Only if
Oh,
every
we'll get
character
to.
gets a Santa alt.
What if Santa were the first fourth party character in Smash?
I mean, there is a
Wouldn't be the
fighting
worst
game
of times.
out there that has that has gods and all that, and Santa is involved.
I don't hate
Nice.
it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's better than Goku.
What about Mickey Mouse?
It's better than Mickey Mouse.
What about
Anyways, was that all your costumes?
yeah.
All right, one last thing to do for Yuri then, because we'll figure out the costumes when it actually goes on the wiki. We won't worry about it right now. But home
Mm-hmm.
stage, because every character needs a home stage, right? Sorry, Rob. Sakura doesn't love you enough to even give you a stage for many of your games. It's really sad. But we're not going to go too deep into this because that's we don't have time. We don't. My home stage that I created for him, I just have Zaude. It's an in-game location. You're on a whole platform that's in the water, so there is no pitfalls that you can fall down to either side. It's just fall off the sides or the top, and then hopefully don't drown. But I've also have Pharaoh, who is one of the boss enemies of the game. Sometimes he'll appear around on the stage. He'll attack a little bit. You try and drive him away. He's more of a stage boss in a way, kind of like Ridley on Pyrosphere or Metal Face, as opposed to just being a regular hazard. But knock him away enough so he doesn't kill you, and then just get back to fighting for a little bit. There's not really any special platforms beyond that. Just basic platform in the water.
Nice. Very nice. That's shoot. That's more detail than we usually go into for these stages.
Because I had this idea
it's a
for like over a year now. So yeah, I've had time to think about that. I almost put it in the stages episode we did a while back. So it's been on my
nice.
mind a
Nice.
while.
Nice. And then Dodds, how about you?
For me, I just decided, you know what? I feel like Yuri would want to fight on his home turf, so I went with the capital city of Zaphias. I and I feel like we don't have enough huge stages. Maybe you could shrink it down for smaller. Maybe there's a smaller variant where it just fights in the lower quarter, but just giant city with a. If it's in the bigger stage, if you have the lower quarter, which lower on the map, so you're very liable to get knocked out. Um, and the noble quarter, a lot more left and right uh, ways to get knocked out, with probably some subtle some references to characters like Estelle being the noble quarter, Judith, and probably some of the other characters that aren't from that area of the world, all in the background riding on Baul.
Yeah.
And yeah, just figure we need some more big stages. We haven't had a big one since we didn't get a new one introduced with Ultimate because we had Palutena's temple
Simple.
in 4, and we had um,
It was Temple in Melee, Newport City in Brawl, and then Smash 4 gave us Palutena's Temple and the Great Cube Offensive.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what?
Yeah, I like that.
We could use one more. And maybe there's an alternate. Maybe there's like a 50-50 chance of get the background. Maybe like the format stays the same, but slight changes to the the design and all that of the platforms, and changes to Dawngrest, and that's where characters like Carol or Raven show up.
I was gonna say I was surprised you didn't go with Dawngrest.
Yeah, I just figured this because Zaphias is his home, so I figure that's more.
That's a fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Jonno, what was your home stage idea?
The well, I am not well equipped to go into further detail, but maybe you guys can help me fill out the blanks. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this stage.
Go for
So,
it.
okay, I'm gonna spell it out for you. Halure.
Allure?
Yeah, Halure. And the only note that I had, I wrote this down 2 weeks ago. The only note that I has is there are trees. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm looking back at this in the future. I'm like, what?
Wow. All right. Oh, okay, that place.
yeah,
I couldn't.
it,
I wasn't sure based on just the name. I was like, okay, seeing a picture. Yeah, I know what Allure is.
yeah, Hallower is
The
it's a
tree
town
city.
that yeah, it's a town that's surrounded by a giant tree that has a barrier to protect from monsters, and their town it's basically a giant sakura tree or sakura tree. Not sure how it's pronounced, but
Cool.
giant pink tree, leaves constantly falling. Gorgeous.
Beautiful locale.
As a note, I'm seeing on the wiki page for Allure. Apparently, in Project Cross Zone, which Yuri and Estelle are, they make a crossover appearance in, they start out the game in Allure.
Hmm.
So clearly, it was important enough for them to choose
Nice.
that as their selection location for that game.
And there's a wilted version apparently as well of the tree.
Yeah,
And
the tree doesn't start out the game very happy. He's had a rough week. You have to
oh,
help him out a little bit.
all right, like Wispy Woods.
In a different way, because you don't want to beat up on the tree that protects the town. You don't throw its apples
Okay.
back at it.
That's do you eat the apples? Oh, I think
There's-
a cherry blossom tree wouldn't have.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's
You can make
everything
Sia.
we got here for Yuri, and we are out of time. So, Dodds, I'm sure you regret appearing and saying yes to this bucket of nonsense, and you will be defriending me later tonight.
Probably.
Eh, we had a good run. We did.
You did. You did. And I always liked observing your relationship from afar. Thank you for joining us, Dodds. It was a pleasure.
It was
Also, you
enjoyable.
should consider. Yeah, it was some good fun when we run into something that you might like to cover in the future. We'd love to have you back on again.
Absolutely.
In the meantime, I wish you well on your venture into ASMR YouTube.
Sure.
Yeah, seems more like a VTuber kind of guy to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unfortunately, the show hasn't been canceled yet, so we have another
Give
episode
it a
after
few more
this.
years.
Yeah, give it a month, maybe. So next time around, we're going into a Smash or Dash. Fun times. We pit characters against each other. We pick one to put in Smash, and on our next one, all four characters have something to do with the movie industry in some way, shape, or form. We'll see who they are
Can't
next
believe we're
time.
doing this, but it's gonna be Gizmo.
Welcome to James Cameron's Avatar, Part 2.